If you would, Mr. Childs, do the invocation, and Mr. Crawford, lead us in the pledge, please.
Let's pray. Your Heavenly Father, thank you for all the love and everything we have that you give us. Your love, your kindness and generosity. Be with us, guide us, and direct us. Help us to make the right decisions for this great city that we live in, and help our country too, and guide us in the right direction. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item on the agenda is the reading of the minutes of the previous council meeting. Members of the council have had an opportunity to review these. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous. Next item on the agenda, communications from the mayor. Well, we made it through one holiday. Got a Christmas coming up. We noticed Miss Stennett's not with us tonight. Her mother is back in the hospital, so let's keep the Stennett family in our prayers and be safe through this holiday season. Next item on the agenda is zoning matters. We have none. Next item on the agenda, ordinances. Ordinance number 1, third and final reading of ordinance number 2018-16, 2019 fiscal year budget. Mr. Stoltz.
Ordinance number 2018-16, ordinance to approve the 2019 fiscal year budget for the city of Fort Oglethorpe. Whereas the duly elected governing authority of the city of Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia, is authorized under Article 9, Section 2, Paragraph 3 of the Constitution of the state of Georgia, the official code of Georgia annotated 3635-3, and the charter of the city of Fort Oglethorpe to adopt reasonable ordinances to protect and improve the public health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of the city of Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia. And whereas the duly elected governing authority for the city of Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia, is vested in the city council composed of a mayor and 5 council members, and whereas that all ordinances or parts of ordinances conflict herewith are hereby repealed, and whereas that if any part of this ordinance shall be invalid or unconstitutional, such invalidity or unconstitutionality shall not affect or impair other parts of the ordinance unless it clearly appears that such other parts are wholly and necessarily dependent upon the part held to be invalid or unconstitutional. Now therefore it is hereby ordained by the governing authority of the city of Fort Oglethorpe that the following shall constitute the fiscal year 2019 budget. This ordinance shall take effect on January 1st, 2019. First reading, 8th day of October. Second reading, 12th day of October. Third and final reading, 26th day of November, 2018. This is the third and final reading.
Thank you, Mr. Stoltz. Have a motion to approve?
Make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Mr. Crawford?
Yep.
Mr. Childs?
Yes.
Ms. James?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimous. Item number 2 under ordinances, third and final reading of ordinance number 2018-17, amendment to 2018 budget. Mr. Stoltz.
Ordinance number 2018-17, ordinance to amend the 2018 fiscal year budget, ordinance numbers 2017-09 and 2018-12 for the city of Fort Oglethorpe. Whereas the duly elected governing authority for the city of Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia, is authorized under Article 9, Section 2, Paragraph 3 of the Constitution of the state of Georgia, the official code of Georgia annotated 3635-3, and the charter for the city of Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia, to adopt reasonable ordinances to protect and improve the public health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of the city of Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia. And whereas the duly elected governing authority for the city of Fort Oglethorpe is vested in the city council composed of a mayor and 5 council members, and whereas all ordinances or parts of ordinance in conflict herewith are repealed, and whereas that if any part of this ordinance shall be held to be invalid or unconstitutional, such invalidity or unconstitutionality shall not affect or impair other parts of the ordinance unless it clearly appears that such other parts are wholly and necessarily dependent upon the part held to be invalid or unconstitutional. Now therefore, it is hereby ordained by the governing authority of the city of Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia, that the following shall constitute the amended 2018 fiscal year budget. This ordinance shall take effect from and after its adoption by the mayor and city council. First reading, 22nd day of October. Second reading, 12th day of November 2018. Third and final reading, the 26th day of November 2018. This is the third and final reading.
Thank you, Mr. Stoltz. I have a motion to approve.
Make a motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Mr. Crawford?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Childs?
Yes.
Ms. James?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimous. Item number 3 under ordinances, second reading, annexation of ordinance number 2018-18. Mr. Stoltz.
Ordinance number 2018 annexation, be it ordained by the mayor and council of the city of Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia, and it is hereby ordained by authority thereof, Section 1, that the following property owned by Robert White, Northwest Mountain Investments, LLC, and known as MAP 00002A072 is annexed into the city of Fort Oglethorpe. Said property is particularly described by a deed attached as Exhibit A, Section 2. If any part of this ordinance shall be held to be invalid or unconstitutional, such invalidity or unconstitutionality shall not affect or impair other parts of the ordinance unless it clearly appears that such other parts are wholly and necessarily dependent upon the part held to be invalid or unconstitutional. Section 3. This ordinance shall take effect from and after its adoption by the mayor and council. First reading, 12th day of November 2018. Second reading, the 26th day of November 2018. This is the second reading.
Thank you, Mr. Stoltz. Item number 4 under ordinances, second reading of ordinance number 2018-19. Mr. Stoltz.
Ordinance number 2018-19, rezoning, be it ordained by the mayor and council of the city of Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia, and is hereby ordained by the authority thereof, Section 1, that the following property owned by Robert White, Northwest Mountain Investments, LLC, and known as MAP 00002A081 is rezoned to a C2 special exception zoning. Said property is particularly described in a deed attached as Exhibit A. If any part of this, Section 2, if any part of this ordinance shall be held to be invalid or unconstitutional, such invalidity or unconstitutionality shall not affect or impair other parts of this ordinance unless it clearly appears that said other parts are wholly and necessarily dependent upon the part held to be invalid or unconstitutional. Section 3, that this ordinance shall take effect from and after its adoption by the mayor and council. First reading, 12th day of November 2018. Second reading, 26th day of November 2018. This is second reading, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Stoltz. Item number 5 under ordinances, the second reading of ordinance number 2018-20. Mr. Stoltz.
Ordinance number 2018-20, an ordinance to amend and restate the retirement plan for the employees of the city of Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia, in accordance with and subject to the terms and conditions set forth in the attached adoption agreement. Any amendment to the adoption agreement, the Georgia Municipal Employees Benefits System Master Plan document, and the Georgia Municipal Employees Benefit System Trust Agreement. When adopted by the authorized officers of the city, the GMEMS is foregoing shall constitute a contract between the city and GMEBS, all as authorized and provided by OCGA Section 47-5-1 et sec. Be it ordained by the mayor and council of the city of Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia, and is hereby ordained by the authority thereof. Section 1, the retirement plan for the employees of the city of Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia is hereby amended and restated as set forth in the subject of the terms and conditions stated in the following adopted agreement. Any amendment to the adoption agreement, the Georgia Municipal Employees Benefit System Master Plan document, and the Georgia Employee Benefits Municipal Employee Benefits System Trust Agreement. Attached, Section 2. except as otherwise specifically required by law or by the terms of the master plan or adoption agreement, the rights and obligations under the plan with respect to persons whose employment with the city was terminated or who vacated their office with the city for any reason whatsoever prior to the effective date that an ordinance are fixed and shall be governed by such plan, if any, as it existed and was in effect at the time of such termination. Section 3, the effective date of this ordinance shall be the date of approval by the governing authority. Section 4, all ordinances and parts of ordinance in conflict thereof are expressly repealed, approved by the mayor and council, city of Fort Oglethorpe, this blank day of November 2018. No, we still have another reading on that, Mayor.
Yeah, this is second reading, correct?
Yes,
Thank you, Mr. Stokes. Next item on the agenda is resolutions. Resolution number 2018-4. Mr. Stokes.
Resolution 2018-04, a resolution to modify a position, control, and pay plan for all classified and appointed personnel. Whereas the mayor and city council of the city of Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia, passed Resolution 2018-03, a resolution establishing a position, control, and pay plan for all classified and appointed personnel on Monday, November 12, 2018. And whereas the police department has a lieutenant training position that will report to the police chief that was originally included with the lieutenants reporting to the police captain. Now therefore be it resolved that the position, control, and pay plan for the classified and appointed employees shall be substantially the same form as Appendix A, which was attached here to and made a part of this resolution. So resolved the 26th day of November 2018.
Thank you, Mr. Stokes. I have a motion to approve.
Motion?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Mr. Crawford?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Giles?
Yes.
Ms. James?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimous. Next item on the agenda, unfinished business. We have none. Next item on the agenda, reading the city clerk of any communications. We have none. Next item on the agenda, new business. Item number 1 under new business, proposed approval of MOU Got Tourism Product Development Grant. Ms. Simpkins.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. This is a request for a required memorandum of understanding for our Thriving Communities team through the 6th Cavalry Museum to apply for a $5,000 grant through the State Department of Economic Development. In 2018, the City of Fort O, the City of Ringgold, and Catoosa County completed the Georgia Department of Economic Development's Tourism Product Development Resource Team program. And as a result, these entities are now eligible to apply for grant funding to implement components of their Tourism Product Development Resource Team report, which we received in September of 2018. So the 6th Cavalry Museum approached the city on behalf of Thriving Communities early this month, requesting that we partner as the applicant for the grant. The 6th Cavalry Museum will implement the grant, and the proposed MOU is attached. Matching funds are up to $5,000 are required for the grant. However, the match will be the responsibility of the 6th Cavalry Museum, and it will actually be part of, and congratulations to the Thriving Communities team, it'll be part of the $20,000 grant from the Lyndhurst Foundation that our Thriving Communities team received on their first attempt for our interactive art walk. So that grant will be leveraged for additional funds. This is just a required component of the grant application. Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you, Ms. Simpkins. I have a motion to approve.
Make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous. Item number 2 under new business, proposed approval to accept property donation of right-of-way. Mr. Long.
Yes, coming before you tonight to ask for y'all to accept a piece of property. It's from J. Richard and Bernard Brown, and the property is over off Scruggs Road, the access road that will go to the new development there on Highway 41. And they're in process now. I think legal counsel here, and they're working up and getting the title, and I was just asking for y'all to accept this property and and they want to try to get it closed out before the end of the year. And the identification number is 0019A002, and this property will become the city's. It's a 50-foot right-of-way, and it will be at no cost to the city. And then the road is, they've got the subgrade that they agreed to do. They've got it ready and ready to actually have some of the stone on it and is ready to get paved, weather permitting. And so we're going to get this closed out. Just ask for y'all to accept this property.
Thank you, Mr. Long. I have a motion to approve.
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous. Item number 3 under new business, proposed approval of task order for drainage improvements. Mr. Long.
Yes, this is task order number 2018-16 with CTI Construction, asking for approval for $28,800. This will be for the engineering to do some storm drainage improvement on Olimar Street, and then actually behind the city pole barn there on the city shop property. And this would be to CTI, and this will include the bidding and resident project representative for 2 months to oversee the construction and drainage. And this will be coming out of Splosh 2014.
Thank you, Mr. Long. I have a motion to approve.
Make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous. Item number 4 under new business, proposed approval of overlay district contract. Ms. Simpkins.
Mayor, on November 12th, 2018, at our last city council meeting, you all approved award of RFQ 001-18, purchase of professional services to review and update our zoning policy to Hatley Plans in the amount of $48,500. As we discussed at our last meeting, the scope of this project was negotiated for a lot of savings from our original proposal. We heard last time that City Council desires to establish design guidelines through the development of an overlay district for the Lafayette corridor. And the overlay district would be developed in conjunction with the Unified Development Code with the purpose of establishing development regulations for the city's oldest shopping district. The district won't change the base zoning of properties in the designated area, but it will overlay additional standards that guide design of new and rehabilitation projects along the corridor. The process of developing the overlay district will include public meetings with the Downtown Development Authority, current landowners on the corridor, interested future developers, and city staff. The product will be a documented policy adopted by you all, with design regulations for future building setbacks, signage, parking, building materials, and other aesthetics. The cost of this proposal is up to $13,000. Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you, Ms. Simpkins. I have a motion to approve.
Make a motion. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous. Next item on the agenda, City Manager's Report. Ms. Simpkins.
Well, I'd also like to ask everyone to keep Paula's mother in your prayers, and also she deserves a congratulations because she's also a grandmother again. Over the holidays, she welcomed a granddaughter. I'd also like to say congratulations to our Thriving Communities team for receiving the $20,000 grant from the Lyndhurst Foundation. That is awesome. We are so excited to see what develops out of that on our interactive art walk. So thank you to Chris McKeever and your team. We have a town hall meeting that will be held on Thursday, November 29th from 5:30 to 7 p.m. at the Catoosa County Administrative Building. The topic will be T-Splost, and the public is encouraged to attend and get any questions that you may have about T-Splost answered at this public meeting. Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you, Ms. Simpkins. Next item on the agenda, city council comments and business. Ms. James.
I don't have anything tonight.
Thank you, Ms. James. Ms. Childs.
No comments, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Childs. Mr. Crawford.
I'd just like to say thank you to Chris McKeever for, not only on the thriving communities, what you do with Sixth Cavalry, the tourism, and doing a lot of things here in our city, and we appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Crawford. Mr. Rogers.
I don't have anything tonight, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. Next item on the agenda, citizens petitions and requests. We do not have anything. Next item on the agenda is executive session. We do not have anything for executive session tonight. Next item on the agenda is adjournment. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Have
Second.
a motion and I have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
This meeting is adjourned.